Howdy YouTube, Unky Joe here, Unky Joe's Playhouse. Today we have an exciting, it's exciting video. You're going to watch me change out a water heater. Again, Unky Joe's Playhouse is not just about computers, it's about me, my life, and what I have to go through to maintain a home and a family and a business and computers. So it's a lot of fun. So just give you a little background on this. The water heater in this home is 20 years old. We bought it in 98, so April 1st of 1998. It was delivered and set up. And so as of April 1st this year, the house is officially 20 years old. And it's a manufactured or a mobile home. It's not mobile anymore. We took the tires off, gave them to our neighbor. So it's not quite mobile anymore unless a big tornado were to come up, and then it's very mobile and you don't want to be in it. But I digress. Anyway, the water heater is 20 years old. And we weren't having a problem with the water heater. Every couple of years I drain the water heater and then I take the heating elements out of the bottom and the top, replace them, put a new thermostat in them, and then I'm good to go for another 2 years. And I think it cost me maybe $30 or $40 to replace those elements. And then while I have the elements out, I take my shop back, and we have really hard water here in Texas, and it has a lot of calcium carbonate in it, and that precipitates out and falls to the bottom of the water heater. And then the problem is our water heater on a mobile home is usually fed through the bottom. So the cold water comes in the bottom, goes up through the top, comes in, gets heated, and then goes out through the top. The problem is when it does that, it disturbs that calcium carbonate that collects in the bottom of a water heater, and then that stuff can get into your water lines and then block up your fixtures. And fixtures are expensive. You know, we just had one replaced on the sink. It was 80 or 90 bucks for the faucet, and it doesn't do any good if you replace it and then 3 weeks later it's clogging up. So and plus the water heater is 20 years old and it was bound to leak eventually. There were no leaks, no runs, no drips, no errors. If you take good care of your water heater and any appliance and do regular maintenance on it, you're going to get a long lifespan out of them. But we talked it over with our plumber and we decided it was time to replace it. So now I'm going to show you what we had to go through to get this thing replaced, and then we'll come back and have a little discussion at the end of it. So stay tuned for that video. Alright, so we got the wall cut out. We've got the new number 10 wire run. Had to drill a hole here, come back through here, and then come up right here into this new disconnect. And then I've got a whip right here, and this will plug into the new water heater when he gets here on Monday to install that. But for now, that can just go over there. So there's the disconnect box right there. I tore out all the framing so we could get to the water heater. So all that's gone. The panel is exposed, but hopefully people won't go around sticking their fingers in it. I hope. Although some of the people in this house. So I still need to run this wire up. I'm going to replace this double 20 breaker right here with a 20-30. 20 for the AC and 30 for the new water heater. So the wire that they had run for the water heater was just too small. So I'm going to end up cutting that out of there, terminating it, taking it out of this lock nut, and running the new wire up to the new breaker. So that should be fun. But enough for today. Alright, so let's see how far we got. After much cursing and cajoling. And here we go. Here's our finished product. So as you can see, we had to take quite a bite out of crime, or out of the wall. Let me move this laundry basket. So yeah, in order to get to the electrical, this line here, the gray one, is the old number 6 wire that goes to our old furnace that we don't use anymore. And here's the new wire I've run, the orange one. This is a number 10, 10-2 with the ground. And in order to get it through, when they built the house, what they did was they ran these on the outside, and then they put a plate on them. Instead of having to drill a hole through, they just notched the 2x6s, because these are 2x6 walls. As you can see here, these are quite thick exterior walls. Give you a better view there, quite thick. And so instead of drilling a hole through them like you normally would and running your cable through, they would put a notch in the 2x6 in the outside of it, which I don't like to do. And then they would run the cable there, and then they'd cover it with a metal plate. Now, so this is the 2x6 wall, and then here's another 2x6 here. Because this had a wall attached to it, so in order to do that, they had to put another 2x6 in there. What I did was just drill through it. I fed the cable back. I cut out the wall here, fed the cable back, and then up this wall to this disconnect switch, because we did not have a disconnect. Here's the old cable right here, as you can see. It's number 12-2, not big enough. And then I went ahead and put a whip on it so that the electrician, or so that the plumber will be able to hook up. And there's 3 number 10 wires in there. A red, a black, and a ground. So 2 hots and a ground. No neutral. Not on a water heater. Just like you would wire up an AC unit. And then that will connect up. This breaker will be replaced. This is the current breaker. It's only 20 amp. And this is the other 20 amp circuit for my heat pump in the living room. So this will be replaced by a 20-30 breaker. And I'll disconnect this wire. This is, you can see it's labeled water heater. This is the old water heater wire. So I'll take this out and we'll put the water heater in through there. And then we'll end up terminating this wire permanently. And then I can put the cover back on the panel so that my plumber doesn't get electrocuted. So that'll be fun. Then the other thing we did there, you remember there was a wall here. I went ahead and tore that wall out. It wasn't needed at all, because this water heater doesn't need a vent. It's electric. So why they sealed it up, I'll never know, but they did. Probably something to do with HUD code or something, but we'll pretty this up. I'll put another 2x4 on here and get some sheetrock, but and maybe a door. Just put another 2x6 and improvise some sort of door. But here's the problem with the water heater: is its bottom fed. So you can see that line right there is feeding the water heater. The problem is calcium builds up there. So when the water comes up to fill the tank, it disturbs all that calcium or lime at the bottom of the tank, and then throws it out into the plumbing and clogs up the plumbing. So we get a top mounted, and then this is the hot water line coming out. Okay. And that goes back to feed the rest of the house. So we're also going to put shutoffs on here as well. Now the new water heater is probably, oh, I don't know, that tall, something like that. So hopefully it'll go in here and won't be in the way of this disconnect. If necessary, I can move the disconnect. I don't want to, but I can. So there is the finished product. Now I'm just going to clean up some stuff. Alright, so we're done. Well, for the most part we're done. It's making hot water now. But you can see here, here's the orange wire. It's 10-2 wire. And that is going through there, up here. And then there's a new water heater. Expansion tank. Electrical connections, water connections. You can see my plumber extended it all the way. You want to be on YouTube?
Sure.
Here's my plumber. Only the best will do.
Big bubbles, no troubles.
That's right. My Royal Flush beats your full house.
Our Royal Flush beats your full house.
That's right.
All day long.
What's the name of the company?
A&B Rooter.
Out of?
Seguin, Texas.
And you service San Antonio?
San Antonio, Seguin, Luling, New Braunfels,
Cibolo, that kind of thing. Yeah, cool. Great job. That's why I hired that guy. New breakers in, 20-30, 20 for the AC and 30 for the water heater. Of course, one thing I did screw up on is the disconnect. This is a fusible disconnect. It didn't come with any fuses, so no worries. We'll just use it as a disconnect. I'll get some fuses, put it in there. Or not. It's, you know, the power panel is within feet of the water heater. Oh, and we also have a pan in. And this little expansion tank, so in case the water pressure goes crazy or something, we have room for. Oh yeah, it's making hot water. I can feel it. I can feels it. Definitely making hot water, and we put shut-off valves in both the hot water and the cold water so that I can turn it off if I need to service it. So, but yeah, it's a little taller, but it slid right in there with room to spare. So I'm quite happy with the results. Get you a shot of his truck so everybody knows who he is. I've been using this guy for about 20 years. Does a bang-up job. He's not cheap. Good plumbers aren't cheap. If he's a cheap plumber, he's not a good plumber. There's their contact information, so if you ever want to use them, San Antonio, Seguin, Cibolo shirts, New Braunfels. There's the old water heater. The back of the truck, getting ready to go to the dump. It never did leak. It just got so full of crap that it was it was actually plugging our water lines. In fact, the water line in the kitchen, don't you come out that door. In fact, the water line in the kitchen, the cold water side was plugged. It's been plugged for about a year. He had to get a wet vac and blow back on that line in order to break the obstruction loose so we could have really good girl. You good girl, aren't you? Tell everybody on YouTube what a good girl you are. Yeah, you good girl. But there's a big behemoth box that came in. So there you go. You see what I had to go through to get it replaced. I didn't film me tearing out the wall and stuff because you know if I had filmed that, YouTube would have immediately demonetized the video because I ran into some issues getting that wall out. It was really pissing me off. So I tend to curse when I am working on things. I don't know. It just seems to help me work on them better. You got to meet my plumber, Steve. I've been using Steve for 20 years. He's not cheap. I think he's $65 or $70 an hour. And he's been out here. He was out here all day yesterday getting that thing installed. Now, that's not all he did. He installed the water heater. We had some other issues. We had to have some lines blown out to get that calcium out and to unstop the faucet, the new faucet in the sink and that kind of thing. So all told, it was right in the neighborhood of $700-800 just for the plumber. And plus the cost of the water heater. I think the water heater was $410, something like that, for a 40-gallon water heater. And then all the construction work I did, and then the electrical work I did. And let me remind you, don't go sticking your hands in your electrical panel if you don't know what the hell you're doing. We don't have a inspection division out here in the county where I live. So what you have to do is, if you decide to do your own electrical, it's perfectly legal in the state of Texas for you as long as you follow codes. Then what they require you to do is, if they don't have a city inspector, they have you call an electrician and pay him $50 to $100 for an electrician to come out. They'll do an inspection on your installation, and then they write you a little certificate of compliance, and then you give that to your insurance company. That way, God forbid, if your house burns down, they won't hold you liable for your wiring because it was approved. So don't go sticking your hands in a live electrical box. That's why I didn't film that part. I didn't want you to see it. That electrical box stayed covered during all phases of the installation because I didn't want the plumber to back into it or have a tool in his hand and hit the live connection. There's a lot of current. There's 200 amps of current flowing through that electrical box. So I would recommend, if you're going to work on it, go outside and shut off your master breaker so you don't have any power to the panel at all. But that's why I didn't show you me hooking that up. But I put a new double breaker in there, 20-30, 30 for the water heater, because these elements are larger and require more power and a larger cable so you don't have a fire. And then I put the disconnect box in, but it was a fuse disconnect. I didn't realize that. So we plugged it in. The water heater wasn't heating up, and we were trying to figure out why. And then I pulled the cover off and looked inside and said, you know what? I'm missing fuses, so it's not going to work. But anyway, the long and the short, we got it installed. We had hot water within a half an hour. We had a 55-gallon in there before, but like the plumber told me, he said the newer water heaters have larger elements in them, and you can get by fine with a 40-gallon water heater. And then he'll come out every year and he'll clean it out for me for a nominal fee. and take care of it. So no, plumbers aren't expensive. Our plumbers are not cheap, but they this guy at least earns every penny of his dollars. We put a drip pan in there, an emergency drain, all that stuff the insurance company wanted. And you notice that big canister that was on top of the water heater, that is in case your pressure drops, so the water heater doesn't back siphon and something like that. That's what the plumber told me. But anyway, there you go. We hope you found the video entertaining and informative. As always, give us a thumbs up down below. Donations are appreciated. We take PayPal and Patreon. So thank you so much for watching, and don't forget, we will see you on the other side.